All right. What's up, everybody? I am Shashi Low, Senior UX Engineer at Microsoft. I work on the Azure Pricing Calculator team. So please do not go on the Azure Pricing Calculator until after January 1st. Okay? I have holidays planned, vacation. I don't want to go on call and mess up and work on your bug. All right? Thank you. I am born and raised in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So let's do a roll call. Who here came outside of Texas? Make some noise. That's all you got? Make some noise. Okay. But I currently reside in Austin, Texas. So I heard that everything is bigger and better in Texas. So let me hear it, Texans. All right. And people online too. We can't forget you. Make some noise. Okay, I might have heard one or two, but I still have no idea how I got 25 minutes to talk to you guys about whatever I wanted to. So you betcha I'm going to take advantage of this. So today, I'm going to talk to you guys about how module federation is a game changer for micro front ends. Let's try that again. Oh, whoops. That was not supposed to be there. But today's agenda is we're going to talk about what micro front ends are, what is module federation, how does module federation play a part in micro front ends, and then we're going to do some demoing. All right, so first, what are micro front ends? Okay, a raise of hands of who here knows what or has worked on a micro front end before. Okay, a few of you. All right, how about people that have never even heard of micro front ends before? Raise your hand. Okay, many of you. Well, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna learn anything from this. I'm just kidding. You're gonna learn a lot from this. So before we jump into micro front ends, we need to understand the monolith applications. All right, so let's look at this image on the left, okay? This is a typical old ass shenanigans, okay. Monolith application, okay? Danny told me that I need to talk to you like my children because this is live streamed. Yeah, Richard, yeah. Sit down, Richard. No, don't touch that. Daddy's gonna need a few minutes. Hold on. Oh, I gotta go back. So if we look at the monolith image on the left, right, there are three teams: the cart team, website team, and payment team. All of their code is in one repo, one deployment, one schedule, like one node package, like you're sharing everything, right? So if the payment team wanted to upgrade React version 16 to 19, they would have to communicate to the website team, the cart team, and even the platform team that ingests all of them to ensure that they're all ready and their roadmap is set up so that they can upgrade everything, right? But because they're in a monolith, that's not going to happen for probably another 2 years. And that just sucks, That's just a pain in the. I'm going to let you guys fill that in. I'm not going to say anything. Now let's look at the right side, right? Nicely decoupled micro front ends. Each team has their own either directory or repository, 3 different teams, 3 different deployments, 3 different node dependencies, right? Individually. Each one of them has their own web application layer, their own service layer. They could even be a different JavaScript framework. Now, the payment team could upgrade to React 19 without even worrying about the other two. Because in the end, it's all minified and ingested into the host application anyways. But the awesome thing is, if all three of these were in the monolith, you have to load everything, right? And I mean, that could take 4 or 5 seconds. But now if you asynchronously load these applications, it could be a second, it could be way shorter. This is where module federation comes to play. If all three of these apps were federated apps, the host would receive runtime updates. Instead of recompiling, redeploying, figuring out versions, all of that, module federation has the ability to also hot module reload your changes instantly. Like me, an instant success. I'm just kidding. So a little bit about module federation. Module federation is a method for sharing code and resources between multiple JavaScript applications. It's a micro front-end architecture that allows developers to split code into modules, break applications into smaller, self-contained modules that can be deployed, tested, and deployed independently. They could be dynamically loaded modules. Load multiple modules at runtime to form a single-page application. You can also share code between applications, share code and resources between multiple applications, reducing code duplication and improving maintainability. Now, I've had the opportunity to talk to Zach Jackson. He is the creator of Module Federation. I told him I was doing this talk, and he gave me some awesome snippets about the current and future state of Module Federation. So, latest Module Federation version 2 supports hot module reload, remote types, runtime lock files, and we'll be extending their runtime plugin system to allow users to create their own hooks and use it for inter-application communication eventing. In 2025, modern JS will ship React Server components with Module Federation support. So big things are coming from Module Federation. If you don't believe me, he just tweeted this like 2 days ago. Module Federation version 2 just crossed 1 million weekly downloads. That's a lot. So definitely, if you're thinking about micro front ends or know nothing about it, do some research. Module Federation is a really cool tool to use. It works in Webpack 5. It currently works in Vite and RSPack as well. Zach and his team created RSPack, so they made sure that Module Federation works with it. So it's an awesome way to kind of just decouple things and kind of see how things work. And obviously, if you're a small team, it might not make sense. But as you grow and as the application grows, it's going to make a lot of sense. All right, demo time. Demo gods, please allow me to have a good demo. Please, 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 nothing go wrong. Thank you. Okay, so as we look at this screen, these are two separate apps. The one on the left is the host app, and the green one, oh, okay. Let me go back to present. Oh, I see. Good? Okay. The one on the left is the host app. The one on the right is the sidebar. There's two separate apps, right? They're two separate module federated apps. And if you move down, there's a count, right? That's a state. So they both share the same state. And if I press increment, they're both going to increment. How do we know if these two apps are module federated? Well, if we look at the DOM, we won't. Bigger? This? Good? Okay. If we look at the DOM, it's already compiled, right? You can't tell. But if we go to the network tab, there are remote entries. Remote entries are like keys. They allow you to enter into a module federation app. As long as they're being exposed, then you can utilize them. So if we look at these two, and I'll expand this a little bit, this is host 3000, and then this other local instance is 3001. And right now we're in 3000. So if we go to 3001, this is the Cyber app. If I go back, this is the host app. The host is ingesting the Sidebar app right into its application. Now let's look at some code. All right. We are inside the host Webpack configuration. If we look at this configuration, we can give it a name, any name you want. It doesn't have to be host. File name, this is the remote entry. It's typically remote entry. You can name it whatever you want as well. And then we're using the host as remote entry. Why? Because we want to use the same state instance in both places. And if we don't do that, then the states are going to be out of sync. And then we're also using the Sidebar app, or the Sidebar module federated application that's on port 3001. And here's the difference, right? We're exposing the store, which is the state management. So if we go to store, it's a simple ZooStan store. It's just incrementing the count. That's all it's doing, right? Let's go to the host app. The host app is importing the sidebar module federated app and the capital S sidebar component. I should have named it something different. But then the host can utilize it, right? So now let's go to the sidebar Webpack configuration. Now, this is where the name came from, right? I could have named it anything else as well, but it's called sidebar, remote entry. And then we're taking in the hosts. That way we can utilize state management. And here is where we expose the sidebar component. So let's go to the sidebar component. It's just a simple A side with a heading and a count. But if you look here, we are taking in the host model federated app, and we're taking that store that was exposed from the host. And now we can utilize and take that state. And now we're two separate apps deployed. They could be deployed separately, sharing the same state. This is a very simple example. That's why we're going to go and look at a small company called Microsoft and how they utilize module federation. Never heard of them? Oh. It's my team. Oh, that's my project. Oh my gosh. Look at my project. Can anybody tell me what part of this is module federated? Well, they're telling me they're trying to kick me off the stage, so I can't take any volunteers. I'm sorry. So everybody is correct. It's the right side, sidebar here. The estimated monthly cost. Me and my team, we built this. It's called the cost card. And if we inspect this, we should see a remote entry, correct? So let's refresh this and watch and see. Don't blame me that it's slow. It's not my page. I didn't build the frame. It just takes a while. Come on. I mean, it's not throttled, okay? It's not throttled. Okay. Whoa, there's 9 of them. There's only supposed to be 1. I'm just kidding. There is supposed to be 9. If we look at these module or remote entries, you'll see here, this one's named cost card, right? This is the host. This one is named app services. The next one is application gateway. The next one is backup, yeah, down, bandwidth, all the way down, right? These are all different services. You might be asking me why. Why would you do that? Why would you build so many services in one? All right, here's our use case. We work with 150 plus different services. That's 100 plus different teams. And each one of those teams, they have their own business logic. Okay. As you can see, costs here, right? Everything has a unit cost. Every skill has a cost. It has a tier, and then every one of you could have a negotiated price. That means that we have to house all that data and figure all these calculations just for you and your case and your discount and everything for 150 plus different services. That's just a lot. A lot. That's what we currently do with our calculator, the Azure calculator, which you're not supposed to visit yet. Okay. Um, but with this cost card, we were able to architect this from the ground up. It took 2 years. This project was planned for about 7 years. And we finally got it done about 3 months or 4 months ago to the general public. It was a great achievement. Um, but what we were able to do was separate the services. So I'm going to show you an example here. I need to fill some things in before I go and create more services. And let me zoom in for y'all. Okay. I'm going to add one more thing here. This is to preface, this is the Azure portal. This is production. This is the virtual machines creation page. If you're looking for a virtual machine, you would go here. You would choose your subscription, choose your size and everything. I can show it right now as well. Like you could choose a different size if you want. As you're choosing that, the cost card then is changing according to that unit cost. And the awesome thing is this page is built with Knockout.js. Our module federated app is built with React, but they communicate with one another. When any changes happen on the left side here that justify a cost, it gets passed to the cost card. The cost card makes two API calls. It calls one to the discovery API, which gets metadata for those SKUs that they're looking for. And then with those IDs, we go and fetch the cost from our pricing APIs to bring that back. And it's not done. Then that business logic for the services, we run through the business logic, get all that done. Then we display it. We display the correct display name, pricing, and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes. Okay, so let me go back here and add a load balancer real quick. We're going to add a very fancy name, ASFD. All right, so it's kind of faint, but if you can see, public IP has a border below here, and then load balancer has a border on top. That is because there's separation of services. So public IP is IP address service. It's a model federated app. VM bound data transfer, that's a bandwidth app, which is a separate module federated app. Same thing with load balancer. 3 different apps. The awesome thing is we built a platform so that you can onboard to our infrastructure without much work. There's a lot of default functionality already. If you want to override our classes to create your own custom logic, you can. And we also have a whole full UI component library. We use Fluent UI, but we extended it for the case of the cost card. And so all that's built already, so you can be onboarded quickly. And I want to point out that the bandwidth app right here, it has a data transfer input, and so does load balancer. We didn't put this into our global UI component library because this logic is owned by the bandwidth team. So we built it in their application, and they're exposing that out so that if anybody wanted to use that component, they can ingest the bandwidth module federated app and use that component. So now they're on the hook to fix it. If it breaks, they're taking care of it and everything else. Okay, now I gotta jump back and do the share thing again, right? Okay. Okay. Give me a second. Going back to my slides. Share my screen. All right, so the problems we saw for the cost card. My team works with over 150 plus different services. Majority of the teams have their own custom and unique business logic. We want each team to own their own part of the application. How do we get the latest changes from several services without redeploying the app when changes occur? Here was our solution. Micro frontends with module federation. Each team owns their own directory within our mono repo. Each team can have their own deployment or use our shared deployment system. As teams make updates, the platform receives updates without redeployment through module federation. You may be asking me, Shashi, can you share the code? What the cost card? No, I can't. I mean, I could. Christmas is coming. I have 4 kids. They want presents. They want to go to the Disney cruise. So let me know. Anywho, I'm Shashi Low. If you want to be an instant noodle like me, come say hi. Thanks.